welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something absolutely epic. We're looking at a foundational tale from the great Indian epic, the Mahabharata. And what's wild about this story is how it perfectly blends a super passionate, almost impulsive royal romance with the really strict, intricate frameworks of ancient socio-religious law. I'm honestly thrilled to walk you through this because it challenges so many of our assumptions about ancient narratives. It's not just your standard love story. It's literally a high-stakes legal negotiation playing out right in the middle of a secluded forest. Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly does a spontaneous, secret meeting under the forest canopy end up forging a legendary empire? Well, to figure that out, we have to drop right into the middle of the action. Picture this. You've got a powerful king, Dushmanta. He's wandering far away from his capital, right into this tranquil forest asylum. And he encounters a woman of just incredible beauty named Sakuntala. And without a second of hesitation, he makes a completely startling whirlwind proposal. King Dushmanta absolutely does not hold back. He is completely captivated. He essentially promises her the world right then and there. We're talking golden garlands, flawless pearls from distant countries, fine carpets, and golden coins. But he actually goes way beyond material wealth. He offers her ultimate power. He literally tells her, "Let the whole of my kingdom be thine today." He wants to marry her instantly, just begging her to be his life's companion right on the spot. Now, you might think Sakuntala would just swoon and fall into his arms, right? Nope. She pumps the brakes hard. She insists they wait. Her father, the great ascetic Kanwa, had just stepped away from the asylum to gather some fruit. So she tells the king to wait just a moment so her father can return and properly bestow her in marriage according to custom. She is sticking strictly to the traditional protocol she was raised with. Now, what's really interesting here is how Dushmanta responds. He doesn't want to wait. Instead, he deploys some serious, ancient legal and philosophical logic to convince her. He tells her, one is certainly one's own friend, and one certainly may depend upon one's own self. Basically, he's telling Sakuntala that she possesses self-sovereignty. He argues that under specific ancient ordinances, she actually has the religious and legal authority to bestow herself in marriage. No father's permission required. Section 1. The 8 Forms of Ancient Marriage. So to really understand Dushmanta's bold claim, we have to look at the ancient socio-religious laws set down by Manu. We're getting into section 73 of the Samba Parva here, where these laws outline exactly 8 distinct kinds of marriages. But here is the catch. Not all forms are appropriate for everyone. It's kind of like a giant puzzle where the pieces only fit certain social classes or castes. The first 4 forms, Brahma, Daiva, Arsha, and Prajapatya, those are deemed fit for Brahmanas, which is the priestly and scholarly class. But for Kshatriyas, the warrior and royal class that King Dushmanta belongs to, the first 6 forms are entirely permissible. And Dushmanta breaks this down even further to ease her fears. He points out that while the Pasacha and Asura forms are considered deeply improper, like absolutely off-limits, other forms are perfectly fine for kings. In fact, for a Kshatriya like him, the Gandharva and even the Rakshasa forms are totally consistent with religious practice. It's fascinating because he's meticulously building a legal case here. He's acting remarkably like an ancient contract lawyer, trying to assure her that a spontaneous, self-arranged union is completely sanctioned by their religion. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact loophole he's proposing, the Gandharva marriage. The text specifically defines it as the union of a wishful woman with a man of sensual desire, and uniquely, it's performed without mantras of any kind. Basically, it functions as an ancient, legally recognized equivalent of a mutual, consent-based elopement. By laying this out, Dushmanta is handing Sakuntala the exact legal justification they need to get married right that second in the forest. Section 2. Sakuntala's ironclad condition. Now, having heard all this intricate legal reasoning, Sakuntala doesn't just blindly nod and accept it. She completely flips the damsel in distress trope on its head and fiercely negotiates her own terms. She says, if this be the course sanctioned by religion, if indeed I am my own disposer, hear what my terms are. So she agrees to the legal premise, sure, but she uses that newfound agency to demand a rock-solid, legally binding contract. Her condition is absolute. The son born from this secret union absolutely must become the king's heir apparent to the throne.
We are watching a super high-stakes deal being struck right here in the trees. On one side, you have Dushmanta's immediate burning desire for this Gandharva union. But on the other side, you have Sakuntala's cold, calculated condition to secure the future of her unborn child. She tells him straight up, "If thou grant this, then let our union take place." It is just an incredible display of female agency and foresight.
And the king? Well, without taking a single moment to reconsider, he agrees at once. He accepts her terms entirely and weds the handsome Sakuntala right there on the spot. And to seal the deal, he makes a massive promise. He swears to send an escort of his military troops, specifically troops of 4 distinct classes, to bring her back to his capital in a manner fitting a queen. Section 3. The Secret Forest Union.
Okay, let's move to the timeline and see how this builds. The rapid wedding is over, and suddenly the reality of their impulsive actions really starts to set in. Step 1 is the wedding, and step 2 is the king heading homeward. But by step 3, this creeping dread washes over Dushmanta. As he's walking back to the capital, the text tells us he starts thinking about the illustrious ascetic Kasyapa, which is actually another name for her formidable father. Dushmanta is literally thinking, what on earth will the illustrious ascetic say when he finds out?
Meanwhile, back at the forest asylum, the dramatic suspense is absolutely peaking. The very moment the king leaves, the great ascetic Kanwa finally arrives back at his abode. But Sakuntala doesn't run out to greet him like usual. She's completely overcome with shame about the secret union she just participated in, so she hides. She flat out refuses to go out and receive her father. Section 4. The Seer's Grand Prophecy. So the secret is just hanging heavy in the air. The king has fled in total anxiety. The daughter is hiding in shame. What happens when this strict, powerful father discovers the truth? Well, as it turns out, Sakuntala didn't even need to tell him anything. Kanwa is a great ascetic, possessed of immense spiritual knowledge. He literally just beholds everything with his spiritual eye. He instantly sees the secret union that just occurred, understanding exactly what went down while he was out gathering fruit. And here is the massive twist. Kanwa isn't angry. At all. So the crucial point is that the illustrious ascetic is actually pleased. He speaks directly to his ashamed daughter and fully validates her actions. He assures her that her secret intercourse hasn't destroyed her virtue. He actually confirms the very legal loophole Dushmanta used, stating that a Gandharva union without mantras is indeed the absolute best form of marriage for Kshatriyas. He even goes out of his way to praise Dushmanta, calling him a high-souled and virtuous man. But Kanwa doesn't just forgive her and move on. He delivers this grand, totally cinematic prophecy that completely validates the contract Sakuntala negotiated. He proclaims that the son born of this secret union will be mighty and illustrious in this world. He prophesies that this child will literally have sway over the sea, and that his future military forces will be completely irresistible against any foes. So, Sakuntala's demand for her son to be heir apparent, it's now backed by a divine guarantee of a world-conquering future. How wild is that?
Hearing this incredible prophecy, a deeply, deeply relieved Sakuntala finally emerges from hiding. She approaches her tired father, washes his feet, and properly organizes the fruits he gathered. And with all that tension finally gone, she officially asks her father to bestow his grace and blessing upon her new husband, King Dushmanta, and all his ministers.
Kanwa is so moved by all of this that he offers Sakuntala a final boon, a wish of her choosing. And you've got to look at what she asks for. She doesn't ask for personal riches or immediate glory for herself. Instead, driven by a desire to benefit her new husband, she secures the moral and political stability of his entire royal lineage forever. She asks that the Paurava monarchs may forever remain virtuous and never be deprived of their thrones. It's an incredibly selfless, big-picture request that truly cements her legacy. Which leaves us with a truly fascinating question to wrap up our explainer today. We so often look at ancient history as just a series of grand public decrees and massive, earth-shattering battles. But this story shows us something completely different. It shows us that a secret union in the woods, driven by private desire, navigated through some incredibly sharp legal wit, and sealed with a mother's fierce negotiation, can be the very spark that forges an irresistible empire. It really makes you wonder, how much of our history is actually shaped in the quiet moments of private promises, rather than on the public stage? Thank you for exploring this remarkable intersection of ancient law and private romance with me today. Keep seeking those hidden histories.